Hey future York students!
I'm Sidel.
And I'm Neetha.
And welcome to the Faculty of Liberal Arts and Professional Studies Program Chat Series.
We want you to know that here in LA&PS, you will study what you love and learn what you need.
In this chat, you'll be hearing from future professors as well as current students about the program.
What it has to offer you, like internship opportunities.
And what your first year in the program may look like.
Alright, should we get started?
Yeah, let's get started.
Enjoy, everybody.
Hi, everyone. My name is Adam. I'm the Recruitment and Liaison Officer for Liberal Arts and Professional Studies, and I want to welcome you here to our program chat about one of our more interesting programs, the Children, Childhood, and Youth Studies program. Before we begin this morning, I would like to take a moment to recognize the land upon which York University is on. This meeting is virtual, and because of that, we are not all actually gathered on the same space. York University land acknowledgement might not represent the territory that you are currently on. And I would ask that if this is the case, that you each take the responsibility to acknowledge the traditional territory that you are on and its current treaty holders. As a member of the York University community, I recognize that many Indigenous nations have long-standing relationships with the territories upon which York University campuses are located that precede the establishment of York University. York University acknowledges its presence on the traditional territory of many Indigenous nations. The area known as Takaranto has been taken care of by the Anishinaabe Nation, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, the Huron-Wendat, and the Métis. It is now home to many Indigenous peoples. We acknowledge the current treaty holders, the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. This territory is subject of the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement to peaceably share and care for the Great Lakes region. Now I'd like to introduce a special guest that has come to join us this morning to talk a little bit more about the program in Children, Childhood, and Youth Studies, Professor Alison Halsall. Professor Halsall, good morning.
Good morning, Adam. Thank you for such a lovely and warm welcome. My name is Alison Halsall, and I'm the program coordinator for the Children, Childhood, and Youth program here at York University. And at this point, I'd like to welcome three of my fabulous colleagues from the program, Professors Cheryl Cowdy, Professors Siskandaraja, and Professor Jolly. Welcome, everyone.
Hello.
Hi. Hello.
All right, at this point, I'm just going to call up a slide presentation. I want to take a few minutes to tell you about what our dynamic and interdisciplinary program has to offer you. As I said, I'm also very pleased to be joined by three of my colleagues who I will ask to speak in a few minutes about particular opportunities that our program offers. So what is this program about? The Children, Childhood, and Youth program here at York is a distinctive program across North America and around the world. It explores the experiences of young people and adult configurations of childhood and youth throughout time and across cultures and geographical spaces. It adopts a child-centered and children's rights approach that recognizes young people as subjects in and of their own culture and cultures. This program offers students a foundation in new and critical understandings of children and youth, their cultures, and their rights. It highlights social justice advocacy and community engagement practices. One of the unique and exciting aspects of this program is that it's an interdisciplinary program that is based and housed in York's Department of Humanities. What this means is that students may take child and youth-related courses in humanities and departments and disciplines all across York University. So, in conjunction with courses that are housed within our CCY program, students can also take courses in sociology, psychology, law, history, equity studies, English, dance, theater studies, gender and women's studies, among many others. Many of our students speak very highly about the diverse selection of courses that they can choose from when tailoring their timetables. So I'd like to take a moment to highlight some of the top reasons that students enroll in the CCY program here at York. First and foremost, students gain an understanding of the human condition from the perspectives of young people. They explore experiences and representations of young people across time and space. They engage in advocacy work about young people. They focus on the rights of young people and the cultures they produce. In other words, how children and youth make sense of the world around them. In their final year, students engage in an immersive research opportunity with young people. And perhaps most importantly, in terms of thinking ahead, in their classes, students refine their critical thinking skills that make them very competitive in the job market. I hope you'll consider joining us. Some of the highlights of the Children, Childhood, and Youth program include, we're actually a very large program. We have approximately 500 majors and minors. It's a 4-year honors BA program. We offer a children's literature certificate as an add-on to your CCY degree. We'll be talking a little bit more about that in the coming minutes. In fall of 2023, we're rolling out a 4th-year placement course. And perhaps even more importantly, our program offers learning opportunities with award-winning instructors from many different specialties. And I'm really excited that 3 of these inspiring teachers and researchers have joined me today and are ready to tell you more about some of the exciting work that we do in our CCY core courses and in some of our elective courses as well. So our multidisciplinary faculty specialize in a range of subjects. We have researchers who work in ethnomusicology, children's literature, health and nursing, girlhood studies, the cultures of play, drama-based research practices, social justice, transnationalism and post-colonial youth studies, and religion and spirituality. I'd also like to indicate some of the many opportunities that are open to you when you finish this program, some of which are summarized on this slide. But more specifically, in this next slide, include a number of job opportunities that some of our graduates have gone on to pursue. So CCY can lead to a variety of possible ways of working with and for young people in advocacy work, counseling, education, health and wellness, international development, law, librarianship, media, parenting, publishing, recreation, and social work. Although our program is not a professional training program, CCY Studies provides students with foundational knowledge, critical thinking skills, and experiential education opportunities that complement professional training programs that prepare students to work with and for children and youth. This 4-year honors degree will help students become better teachers, lawyers, doctors or nurses, social workers, activists, politicians, advocates, or artists. And if I've learned anything in following the progress of our amazing graduates over the years, is that the sky really is the limit in terms of how they can apply the skills and knowledge that they've gained in this degree in the job world. Students certainly do have opportunities to study abroad while completing their studies here at York. We offer, for example, an exchange program with the National University of Ireland, located in Galway, County Clare. Students have an opportunity to do a term in Galway in the second or third years of the program. And so many of our students who have done that have spoken extremely highly about that as an experience. I'm especially excited to announce Professor Cowdy's summer course that is planned for this upcoming summer. She and a lucky group of students will travel to Dublin to undertake research work in children's literature at a range of libraries and archives located in Dublin. Previously, we have hosted a fourth-year Children's Culture and Context seminar course in Limpopo, South Africa. And in September 2023, we're poised to host our first fourth-year 4-credit placement course for students who'd like to gain more expertise working in the field. So all of this to say, there are lots of exciting study opportunities on the horizon for our CCY students. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to 3 of our faculty members from the CCY program, Cheryl Cowdy, Anu Siskandaraja, and Gurbir Jolly, who will tell us more about some of the core CCY courses and some of the elective courses that our program offers. So perhaps, Professor Cowdy, could you begin by telling us a little bit more about the new Children's Literature Certificate that our program is set to launch in September?
Absolutely. Thank you, Professor Halsall. So yes, my name is Cheryl Cowdy, and I'm an associate professor in the program. And we've been working recently to prepare this proposal for a certificate in children's literature, which we should be able to offer very soon to our students. Basically, this certificate allows you to combine your honors BA in CCY with a certificate in children's literature by taking elective courses that relate to the field of children's literature. So this will be the first undergraduate certificate in children's literature of its kind in Canada. So it allows you to earn a certificate, as I said, in addition to your honors BA. You would take 24 credits in children's literature. And these courses can come from the Children, Childhood, and Youth program. Many of our elective courses do relate to children's literature. Some of them focus on such things as LGBTQ plus children's literature or film and literature. We have many fascinating courses that I think are also quite unique across North America and Canada. And you can also add courses in the English department, for example, the Introduction to Children's Literature or a children's literature course that focuses on the 20th century. It'll be a really great opportunity for students to have that work recognized with a certificate on their degree.
Thank you, Professor Cowdy. And now I'd like to introduce Professor Siskandaraja, who will tell us more about our first year core course and a new course that she'll be running for the first time in fall 2022.
Thank you, Professor Halsall. So my name is Anu Siskandaraja, and I'm an assistant professor in our program. And so I have the pleasure of teaching CCY 19999 this year. That's our Introduction to Children, Childhood, and Youth Studies. So that'll be your first core course into our program. And you know, it's a great way to be introduced to what childhood and youthhood studies is. We do a lot of wonderful things. You'll be introduced to different concepts and approaches. A great thing, as been mentioned earlier in our presentation today by the other professors, is that our program is very interdisciplinary. So in addition to being able to take courses in other departments, we also have that really embedded within our courses. So for example, in our introduction course, it's very interdisciplinary. We draw on sociological approaches to understanding children, anthropological, developmental approaches. Another thing that's really important that runs through through our program is that we're really in our department, really a lot of the work that we do is really grounded in the concept of the rights of the child. And we draw a lot on the work of the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child. And so that's an interesting theme that you'll get to explore in our program. So in our introduction course, we explore many topics, including things like youth culture, youth activism, tracing how childhood and children have been constructed historically. We also look at the sort of different axes of inequalities like gender and class and race and disability, sexual orientation, indigeneity, and how that really intersects with constructions of childhoods. So it's a large sort of survey course that gets you to kind of think of it as an appetizer for all the wonderful courses you're going to get to take throughout the program. So yeah, we look forward to having you in it. In terms of assignments, I know that's always something that students think about. We do a lot of different things throughout all our courses. So for example, in first year, you do this year, the students are doing a traditional research essay, but they're also doing a really neat sort of activist inspired YouTube assignment. So we try to, throughout the course, kind of meld the traditional with more sort of contemporary ways of assessment. So we look forward to having you. And so, we are also starting a new elective. We have many electives in the program. So next year will be the first year we're offering Gender Childhoods, which is our CCY 29990. And Gender Childhood really allows us to look at or examine how gender and sexuality are constructed in childhood. So, some of the questions we ask in the course are, how are child and youth masculinities and femininities constructed, both in the historical context as well as in late modernity? We ask questions like, how is gender produced and regulated in children and youth? Other questions include, what are the different sites of gender production for children and youth? For example, looking at how schools act as a site of gendering. Other topics that you can see on the slide, we look at masculinity and boyhood, how girlhood is often commercialized and what that means for childhood, sexuality and body image, trans and gender non-conforming children. So a lot of sort of different topics with a lot of contemporary relevance. So that's just one of the many elective courses that we offer, and hopefully that is of great interest to you all.
Thank you, Professor Siskandaraja. Now, Professor Jolly, will you tell us a little bit about CCY 2999, Global Cultures of Children and Young People, which is the second year core course in our program?
Thank you, Professor Halsell. Before I begin, I'd like to say that this is my 26th year at York. And during my time here, I have never worked with faculty that have been as passionate, creative, innovative, and as student-centered as the colleagues I work with in CCY. And I hope that you as students have a chance to work with these very gifted educators. 2999 builds on the curiosities and the excitement from 1999. Drawing on film, literature by children, literature about children, documentaries, ethnographies, it's a pop culture from across our globe as far as we can. We can never be comprehensive, but we try to be very diverse in our selection of materials we use. The purpose of 299 isn't sort of to go around and do case studies of how childhood works in different regions exactly. Our approach is a little broader than that. We do that, but really what we're doing is we have a core question that we wrestle with, which is how differently might we understand our world if we better respected and prioritized the experiences of children and young people globally. For example, what is family, community, or nation? We have ideas as adults that we often try to impose on children. But what if we prioritize how children understand these ideas? What insights could we glean? How differently might we understand historical and contemporary indigeneity? My daughter's understanding of indigeneity is something that is profoundly richer than mine, and I have much to learn from them. How differently would we understand the complexities of immigration? Often the assumption is that adults socialize children into the world. But if you're a child of an immigrant, it's often you who have to help socialize your parents into the world. How about religion and spirituality? Most of us have an idea of what religion is or what the right religion is, and then we see children through that. But what if we took children's perspectives first and then tried to imagine what religion or spirituality could mean? Similarly, what about the dynamics of gender, sexuality, and racialization? Again, these are identities we tend to impose on children, but children agentively resist or recreate these identities. And I think we have to think about this a lot more seriously. Equality. My older daughter accused me of having a very impoverished idea of equality. And that upset me because I think that I've tried to work for equality for my career. And she said that your idea of equality is basically having all the privileges of a white settler. I had never thought of it that way. Quite challenging. Or art and technology. Again, this is an area often of technology where young people are cultural leaders or innovators in ways that adults can often feel left behind. And I put, how differently might we imagine the zombie or a zombie apocalypse? And what I mean is, how differently might we understand the future or what the future can mean if we prioritize the respective experiences and perspectives of children? And how can we understand the future, or how can we imagine a future that could be terrifying when, again, perspectives of children and young people are prioritized globally? In 299, we tried to provide the foundational, intellectual, and academic training to explore such questions and their implications. This training emphasizes how children are not simply passive products of their culture, but agents of cultural creation, innovation, and change.
Wonderful. Thank you, Professor Jolly. So in first year, students are required to take CCY 1999 and second year 2999. In third year, students move into the course called 3999 Research Methods with Children. And in fourth year 4999, they have an opportunity to do this immersive experiential work with young people. I'm going to turn it over to Professor Cowdy again to talk to us about our second stream of courses, core courses that is, that looks and deals with research methods and immersive work with young people's literature in a particular way.
Thank you, Professor Halsall. So as Professor Halsall mentioned, our students have two options at the third year level for the core course requirement. One of them is CCY 3999, which focuses on the methods you need to do research with young people. CCY 3998, on the other hand, is more focused on research methods relating to children's literature. This is my second year teaching this course, and unfortunately, during the pandemic, we had to be quite creative about how we accessed these materials. But I'm very excited that incoming students will be able to take this course as it was designed to be held in the York University Library's Clara Thomas Archives and Special Collections. So this is a fabulous space in the York Library where we have, I believe, over 2,000 materials related to children's literature, but also materials that were created by children that can often tell us about what they were reading or studying in school. So I teach this course with a librarian at York University. So this allows us to have a very interdisciplinary focus in the course. It incorporates book history. So my colleague in library studies is the expert there, but it also puts an emphasis on looking at literature from the perspective of childhood studies. So in addition to that, Students learn the methods of literary analysis and digital humanities methodologies, since many of the materials we find are also digitized and we access them across the internet. And it's all about the exploration of the social and textual production of children's literature. So here's where it very uniquely meets with childhood studies research. We're interested in thinking about the child who is the implied reader of materials from the 18th to the 20th centuries. Just this week, we found some fascinating materials in the collection that go beyond literature. So these are notebooks that were written by a student in 1920s Ontario. And so this was a really fun opportunity for the students to look at materials from the past written by a young person and to see what that tells us about what they read, what they studied, and also, you know, the desire to keep such materials as a record of childhood in Ontario. So that course trains students in the research methods that they need to conduct then their research project in 4998. So 3998 ends with the research proposal. And then in 4998, students conduct a unique research project relating to what they've explored and discovered in the children's literature collection at York University. The fabulous thing is that because we're located in Toronto, we also have one of the best collections of children's literature in the world. It's recognized by children's literature scholars all over the world as one that has the most dynamic and comprehensive collection of historical children's literature. That's the Osborne collection in the Lillian Smith Library downtown. It's a public library, so it's available to us, and our students also conduct research on some of the materials there. So this builds on the research skills and methods developed in CCY 3998. The instructor oversees this research project and facilitates the analysis of research findings. And then students also have the unique opportunity to disseminate and publish their research project and knowledge in a formal setting and also on the research website we're designing for the program. Thank you.
Wonderful. Professor Cowdy, could I invite you to tell us more about this amazing opportunity that I see on the screen?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited about this. So building on the research skills that students learn in 3998, we are developing a study abroad version of the course that will be situated in Dublin, Ireland. So students will, in the summertime, spend some time at York using those wonderful facilities that we have locally and learning about the research methods with children's literature. And then for the last 2 weeks of the course, we'll be traveling to Dublin, Ireland, one of UNESCO's cities of literature, where there is just a wealth of places to visit and also archives and special collections for us to do research and to explore the materials related to children and young people. So a few of the visits that will be planned include the Pollard Collection of Children's Literature, which is at Trinity College in Dublin, where students will also have their accommodations. So we'll stay at Trinity College. This is the beautiful long room at the Trinity College Library, which for me just evokes all kinds of Harry Potter-esque fantasies. I cannot wait to explore that beautiful space. And this is also where the Book of Kells, an important manuscript in Irish culture, is kept. We'll be visiting the Dublin Writers Museum, the National Print Museum in Dublin, the Museum of Literature in Dublin, and also the ARC Cultural Center for Children. So I'm really excited to offer this opportunity to our students this year and hope that similar kinds of study abroad opportunities will be available in the coming years.
Wonderful, thank you. I wanted to just briefly pause on a course that I'm running for the first time this year. This is called Graphic Narratives for and About Children and Young People. And in it, we look at some graphic texts, digital texts, text-based or literature-based texts that feature child migrants and refugees, child soldiers in the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Rwanda, young Indigenous people enduring the residential school system here in Canada, queer childhoods, and narratives of young people experiencing disability and or bodily variation. This course really lets us analyze how the extremely popular genre of the graphic narrative represents children and youth, and also theorizes about the larger significance of this medium of literature in terms of reading practices for young audiences. All right. Professor Jolly, could you tell us a little bit about CCY 4145, Fantasy in Children's Culture?
Thank you, Professor Halsell. This is a course that I always look forward to teaching, and I look forward to teaching all my courses, but this has a special place in my heart. In Fantasy in Children's Culture, the way we begin is, before we can talk about what fantasy is, we explore what our assumptions about reality is, what makes something real, and what makes a child. Most students, it's a philosophically rigorous opening, but it's one that I work through carefully. Students often assume that reality is just reality, that our reality just, it doesn't have a history, but it does have a history, and our ideas of what makes something real have changed. Where we are now in the global north is that our ideas of what makes something real and what makes a child have similar historical origins, and they have shaped each other, right? So reality became increasingly associated with adulthood, and fantasy increasingly associated with childhood. In 4145, we try to challenge that binary and all the assumptions that comes with. We want to explore how children's fantasies can question and destabilize adult constructions of reality. At the point that you're using, we were at a point that in CCY we're questioning the nature of reality itself. I think that we're getting to a really exciting place. We want to explore how fantasy can be empowering and agentive, not simply escapist. It's important that for this course that we draw on material that's as broad as we can. The last week, my class was, we compared 1980s Bollywood fantasy to Beyonce's Lemonade. We were looking at how adult fantasy and children's fantasy cultures can intersect. Our core themes include talking animals, tricksters, shapeshifters, time travel, taboo fantasies, imaginary friends, and an apocalypse or two.
Thank you. And finally, two more of our elective courses, Childhood and Canadian Culture and Youth Cultures in Toronto. Professor Jolly, could you speak to those, please?
Thank you again, Professor House. So shortly after I moved to Canada, I was given this book, The Dictionary for Canadian Children, 1979. And let me tell you, really, when I designed 4140, I looked for all that was missing in this and all that I could not see myself in this. And I tried to present materials that told a different story of Canada, a story that's not contained in texts such as this one, stories that are often perhaps new or fresh or just have been repressed. And my course on youth cultures in Toronto is a more concentrated version of the childhood and Canadian culture course. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Well, these are just some of the wonderful courses and immersive educational opportunities that York's Children, Childhood, and Youth program have to offer. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you have any questions at all about the program or about thinking through to September 2022, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. My name is Allison Halsall, and I can be reached at the email that is on the screen right now, ahalsall, AHALSALL @yorku.ca.
Hope you enjoyed the program chat, everyone.
If you have any questions about our LA&PS programs, be sure to visit our website to learn more.
And make sure to stay in touch with us for a chance to win a $100 gift card at the York Bookstore. The link to our website is in the description box below.
You can also send your questions to us, the LA&PS student recruitment team.
We'd love to hear from you, so send us an email at goyork@yorku.ca.
And we look forward to seeing you all on campus next year.
Bye.
Bye.